Ranma Half Hard Battle was originally released in Japan by Masai at the end of 1992. It soon got a Western release and even made it to the UK via Ocean, best known for churning out crappy licensed games and of course Robocop. Hard Battle was the second spin-off to appear on the SNES, based on the then hugely popular martial arts saga / romantic comedy manga about the life of Ranma Saotome, a teenage boy who turns to a girl when Splash of cold water. Forced into an arranged marriage with Akane Tendo by their fathers, together they must contend with unwanted attention from bitter rivals and wannabe lovers.
The supporting cast is absolutely huge. For a start, there's Ranma's dad, Genma, who turns to a panda.
And then there's Sun Tendo, Akane's dad and master of the Tendo Dojo.
And then there's Kasumi and Nabiki, Akane's older sisters. And then there's Tetsuaki Yuno, the womanizing kendo expert in love with Akane and Ranma's girl. And then there's Dr. Tofu, the local chiropractor who Akane's in love with, but he's in love with Kasumi. And then there's Tadashi Kino, Tetsuaki's sister, who's in love with Ranma's boy. And then there's Shenpei, a Chinese husband who turns to a cat and is in love with Ranma. And then there's Ryoga, Ranma's rival, who takes the direction and takes the full kick from Akane.
This isn't so much a love triangle than a love dodecahedron. Anyway, Hard Battle is your standard fighting game. You know the drill, two fighters on screen, bish bash bosh, KO, simples. The first Ranma fighting game was best known for being a stopgap released before the SNES version of Street Fighter 2. As a fighting game, it's sort of functional but looks flat with its small sprites and stiff animation. It's also infamous for a Western port that changes sprites to this. I mean look, he's got a blonde mullet for fuck's sake. And the third fighting game was released by Rumiksoft, named after Rumiko Takahashi, the original creator of Ranma. It's actually a pretty solid example of genre, but for me it doesn't quite have the charm of Hard Battle. The presentation's based more on the manga and doesn't quite work. The colour palette isn't as bold and doesn't have as much visual impact. It's also super slow. Now, Hard Battle will always have a special place in my heart because it was my gateway to anime and manga. Back in the early 90s, I read everything during the original edited. Magazines like Computer Video Games and Meme Machines that helped cover the import scene introduced me to consoles unavailable in the UK at the time, like PC Engine, Mega Drive, and of course the Super Famicom.
By the way, if you're an old fart like me, then you might want to check out Eurogamer's verbal history of Meme Machines. Link in description.
Coming from the Amstrad CPC, the games looked miles above and beyond anything I could play at home. It was this review of Nintendo magazine testing that finally persuaded me to buy the original manga, and soon after I went full weeaboo. Basically, Julian Rignall ruined my life. In my opinion, Hard Battle is one of the best looking games on the SNES and features some amazing pixel work. The characters are big, bold and expressive, and the backdrops are beautifully detailed with rich palettes of colour and light. The presentation is just fantastic overall. Each character has their own story to play through with neat little cutscenes between each fight. It's a really polished package until it comes to the actual fighting. Hard Battle isn't a particularly deep fighting game. The characters aren't balanced, there's no technical game on the surface, and you can't even combo your moves. You only have two normal attacks, and it's a pain in the arse having to set up as jump every bloody time! But it's the game that I keep going back to because, well, it's just nice, isn't it?
Hard Battle is a fighting game for people who don't really play fighting games. Special moves are made more accessible. Instead of using complex controller motions like Street Fighter, you could just press both attack buttons or just mash the power attack. The more complex moves have you holding down the power attack button for a few seconds and then releasing it while pressing the direction.
It's a fighting game with a lot of charm to it thanks to its colourful characters. The exaggerated reactions whenever anyone gets hit is also really satisfying, and it's something I can play with my brain switched off. I don't have to worry about footsies, mix-ups, punishes or 50-50s, I can just jump right in and mash buttons, and there's something really enjoyable in that. I love fighting games, but my skill level always seems to plateau. I can play at a level where I'm not embarrassing myself online, but the high level stuff remains out of my reach. I'll never play it either, to be honest. But with Hard Battle, none of that matters. I could switch off and just enjoy the pretty colours that appear on the screen.
The only modern fighting game I can think of that makes an effort to be as accessible as possible now is Pocket Rumble, which also uses simplified inputs. So, we've established Hard Battle isn't a great fighting game, but I played the absolute shit out of it back in the day because for the longest time, it was the only way I could get to see Ranma animated. This was way before broadband internet, so the TV series was only available to me as super expensive VHS tapes, and I couldn't play them anyway because I didn't have an NTC video player. It's okay now though, I've got Blu-rays. Now, as I'm making this video, the SNES Classic Mini will be out in a few weeks with some of the best games to have ever graced that system, and these are some real stone cold classics we're talking about here, but they don't hold as much nostalgia for me as Hard Battle, because for a start you couldn't get several of them in the UK officially anyway. And I'll fully admit it was mostly blind fanboyness that kept me playing Hard Battle as much as I did back then, but it was my fanboyness, and that's what makes it really special to me.